of the most popular groups within the K-pop community, is known for their abuse and mistreatment in their time while being in BlockBerry Creative. This video will be divided into a handful of parts. Let's start with the first part. Part 1. The background and rise of BlockBerry Creative. BlockBerry Creative is a subsidiary of its sister label, Polaris Entertainment. Polaris Entertainment, formerly known as Ilgwang Polaris, was made in 2006 by Ilgwang Group, a company that makes military technology. Ilgwang Group had many subsidiaries spanning defense, manufacturing, entertainment, and social welfare. One of the people who led Ilgwang Group, Lee Jong-myung, had many scandals and controversy I will not mention. And when BlockBerry Creative was made in 2016, guess who was one of the CEOs? Surprise, surprise, because it was none other than Lee Jong-myung. Now, with that past that everyone knew about, Lee Jong-myung carried his disobedience and terrible behavior on with him to BlockBerry Creative, which is one of the main reasons why BlockBerry Creative treated their idols so terribly. Moving on to part 2. The beginning of LOOPΔ and their debut. BlockBerry Creative introduced LOOPΔ with an 18-month pre-debut project. From October 2016 to March 2018, they rolled out individual solo singles, music videos filmed around the world, and 3 subunits for each member. Moving on to LOOPD's debut. When LOOPΔ debuted, BlockBerry Creative didn't spend a usual amount of money. They spent a whopping 10 billion Korean won. For instance, K-pop agencies typically spend around 1 to 2 billion Korean won, so the difference in price was crazy to the public. BlockBerry Creative, the immature and attention-seeking agency they are, loved this attention. They painted themselves as a luxurious agency and kept spending lots and lots of money on LOOPD's comebacks. They spoiled the girls so much, well, at least on camera. That brings us to our next part. Part 3. The beginning of LOOPD's mistreatment and early cracks in BlockBerry Creative's financial situation. On camera, BlockBerry Creative spoiled the LOOPD members so much in order to gain trust from LOOPD's fanbase, Orbits. They were speculated that they have bought a whole apartment complex and gave the girls separate rooms to live in. But you might not be ready to hear what they did to the girls. They put cameras that worked and monitored them 24/7. One of the LOOPD members, Hyunjin, had came out and shared how she had to cut the wires and break the camera because of the lack of privacy BlockBerry Creative gave them. Eventually, cracks started to form in BlockBerry Creative's financial situation. BlockBerry Creative used unfair contracts where revenue was split 7-3, favoring the company, but expenses were split 5-5. Because of this, the girls had major debt and were never paid despite their massive popularity. They starved the girls to an extreme. Chu came out and said how she got an eating disorder of binge eating spicy food, then having to go to the hospital, landing her in even more debt. As the company ran out of money, they stopped providing staff and vehicles. For example, member Chu had to hire her own personal vehicle and pay for her own expenses to attend schedules. What schedules? Chu didn't even have schedules. She was mostly left out from concerts and songs because she sued BlockBerry Creative but lost. Which that brings us to the next part. Part 4. Chu's forced departure from LOOPΔ. Before Chu was kicked out of LOOPΔ, BlockBerry Creative overworked the members, with some members collapsing during their world tour. BlockBerry Creative continued to overwork them, specifically pushing Chu into numerous television appearances to generate fast revenue. When Chu filed a lawsuit for her unpaid wages, BlockBerry Creative shut her up by kicking her out of LOOPΔ, releasing false statements that accused her of abusing power towards staff. This was widely disproven by staff members who had previously worked with her. Later on, Orbits noticed how immature, stupid, attention-seeking, and a pain in the ass BlockBerry Creative was initially. They came out with a request to hear official feedback about this situation. As you've seen, they threatened a boycott if BlockBerry Creative does not reply. The stupid attention-seeking agency they are, they ignored it. Oh boy, all hell broke loose. Sales of LOOPΔ albums dropped by a whopping 98%, with only 93 people pre-ordering an upcoming LOOPΔ album. Most of the girls sued BlockBerry Creative, with half of them winning. More importantly, they all left BlockBerry and terminated their contracts and signed with other agencies like Modhouse. To this day, the websites of LOOPΔ, LOOPDTheworld.com, and BlockBerry Creative, BlockBerryCreative.com, are dead, and BlockBerry is seen as a bankrupt and defunct agency in 2026.